On January 18, 2026, the BRP Pathfinder was cornered by Chinese militia at Reed Bank, another tense standoff in the West Philippine Sea. The Filipino crew stood firm as Chinese ships, aggressive and unprofessional, tried to force them out. In these waters, sovereignty and survival are always on the line. The world is watching to see who will blink first. The ships harassing the Pathfinder weren't ordinary fishing boats. They were China's maritime militia, the PAFMM. State-funded and military-trained, these vessels operate in the gray zone, blurring the line between civilian and combatant. Their mission: harass, intimidate, and block other nations' activities, all while giving Beijing plausible deniability. The militia's tactics, dangerous maneuvers, water cannons, jamming communications, create an environment so perilous that rivals are pressured to withdraw. This slow, grinding campaign lets China consolidate control without firing a shot. The constant friction keeps tensions high and normalizes China's presence. Responding with force risks escalation, but doing nothing cedes ground. The militia's calculated ambiguity is its greatest weapon, trapping smaller nations in a strategic dilemma. In the South China Sea, the front lines are drawn by hulls, not bullets. China's maritime militia is changing the rules of the game, one standoff at a time. As tension peaked, a new silhouette appeared, a U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. The American warship didn't confront the Chinese militia directly. It simply transited nearby, a silent but unmistakable presence. Instantly, the Chinese vessels grew cautious, loosening their cordon around the Pathfinder. The destroyer's presence was a powerful signal. The U.S. stands with the Philippines and upholds freedom of navigation. For the Filipino crew, it was a lifeline, a reminder they weren't alone. U.S. Navy freedom of navigation operations challenge excessive claims and deter aggression without firing a shot. The destroyer's quiet passage stabilized the situation, giving the Pathfinder confidence to continue its mission. Without this deterrent, smaller nations would be at China's mercy. The U.S. role as silent guardian is crucial to maintaining balance in the West Philippine Sea. American presence ensures disputes aren't settled by brute force. It creates space for diplomacy and international law to work. The message to Beijing: there are limits to intimidation. The world is watching, and so is the U.S. Navy. The U.S. destroyer's arrival was no accident. It was a direct result of the U.S.-Philippine alliance, anchored in the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. This treaty commits both nations to defend each other against armed attack, including in the South China Sea. The alliance goes beyond words. Intelligence sharing, joint exercises, and constant communication keep both militaries in sync. U.S. surveillance aircraft and satellites monitor the region, providing Manila with early warnings and a clearer picture of Chinese movements. Exercises like Balikatan train thousands of troops for everything from disaster response to high-intensity conflict, improving interoperability and sending a message of resolve. America's support is rooted in a shared interest, a free and open Indo-Pacific. The U.S. backs Manila not just as an ally, but as a defender of international law. This partnership gives the Philippines the confidence to stand up for its rights. The future of the West Philippine Sea will be decided by law, not by force. The alliance is Manila's strategic shield in an increasingly contested region. The West Philippine Sea isn't just about territory, it's about economic survival. Beneath its waters lie vast oil and gas reserves, a potential game-changer for the Philippines, which imports most of its energy. Developing these resources could mean energy independence, billions in savings, and thousands of new jobs. The Malampaya gas field, the country's main domestic source, is running dry. Reed Bank is the best hope for replacement. Without new sources, the Philippines faces blackouts, higher prices, and economic stagnation. For China, controlling these resources means fueling its own growth and denying rivals a lifeline. For the Philippines, it's a sovereign right and a path to prosperity. Each standoff is a battle for control over this undersea wealth. The outcome will shape the nation's future. Energy, jobs, and independence are all at stake. The fight for Reed Bank is a fight for the Philippines' economic destiny. The stakes couldn't be higher. The Philippines' claim to the West Philippine Sea is anchored in international law, specifically UNCLOS. This treaty grants coastal states exclusive rights to resources within 200 nautical miles of their shores. Reed Bank falls squarely within the Philippines' EEZ. In 2016, an international tribunal ruled in Manila's favor, invalidating China's sweeping 9-line claim. China rejected the ruling, doubling down on its island building and militarization. The result? A clash between a rules-based order and raw power. The Philippines, backed by the US and much of the world, insists disputes be settled by law. China prefers might over right, using its strength to impose its will. Each standoff is a test of whether international law can withstand a rising superpower's ambitions. The legal battle is as fierce as the one on the water. The world is watching to see which vision prevails. To counter China's pressure, the US and Philippines are ramping up their defense partnership. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement lets the US build facilities and preposition assets at key Philippine bases, now expanded near Taiwan and the South China Sea. These sites enable rapid deployment and strengthen deterrence. Joint patrols and exercises like Balikatan have grown in scale and focus, now emphasizing maritime security and archipelagic defense. Live fire drills, amphibious landings, and air combat simulations sharpen both militaries' readiness. Intelligence sharing is critical. US satellites and surveillance help Manila track Chinese movements and illegal activities. New radar stations funded by allies give the Philippines a clearer maritime picture. This buildup isn't about provoking conflict. It's about preventing one. Integrated deterrence makes aggression costly and risky for any adversary. The message: coercion won't work, only respect for law and sovereignty will. The alliance is building a credible collective defense for the future. Failing to access West Philippine Sea resources comes at a steep price. With Malampaya running dry, the Philippines faces energy insecurity, higher costs, and vulnerability to global shocks. Billions in lost revenues mean fewer schools, hospitals, and jobs. Each forced retreat by Filipino vessels is a blow to national pride and sovereignty. The psychological toll is real. Public trust erodes and political instability grows. Dependence on imports and foreign aid deepens. The dream of energy independence slips further away. The struggle isn't just about rocks and reefs, it's about the nation's future. Inaction means greater dependency and diminished potential. The stakes: prosperity, independence, and the destiny of 115 million Filipinos. The West Philippine Sea is a global crossroads. 1/3 of world shipping passes through these waters. Any conflict here could disrupt supply chains, spike costs, and trigger a global crisis. The dispute is a test of the international rules-based order. Will law or force decide the outcome? China's rejection of the 2016 tribunal ruling challenges the post-war system. If might prevails, other revisionist powers will take note. The region is also the front line of US-China strategic rivalry, with alliances and stability at stake. The outcome will shape the global order for decades. The US-Philippine alliance is a bulwark against coercion, but risks are rising. What's at stake? The free flow of commerce, the rule of law, and peace in the 21st century. The world is watching. This is more than a local dispute. It's a global struggle for security and order.